Nerding Out OG Episode 1.
Hard.
And welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We're just going to get right into it. I am joined live in studio, which is just the virtual studio, by the two fabulous hosts of the Crystal to Join podcast and members of FTB C2J, Karl, and Master of Woo.
Wizard
Welcome.
of Woo.
Wizard,
I am
God damn it. Why am I ever fucking... Wizard of Woo, I'm so sorry.
You're good, man. I've been called way
keep
worse.
looking-
I
I
promise.
keep looking at those, when I was looking through, before we got on, Magic Knobs thing popped up.
Oh,
And
Mhm.
yeah, sorry about that.
all good.
How's it going?
Going great. Yeah.
Going great?
Yeah.
Carl, how you
Yeah.
doing? Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Thanks.
And we wanted to bring you on, and Tip is not here tonight. I am doing a solo interview for this week as he's on some duty. I believe it is soccer and general work-related things, but I am glad to be talking to you two fellas. I am a fan of your podcast, and I really want to get into that, but I think the listeners at home should know first. Well, I guess maybe first we should say, why don't you two introduce yourselves for people who don't know you already?
Go ahead, Master.
Carl, go
of Woo.
ahead.
Why don't you lead us
Oh
off?
yeah,
Who are
yeah.
you
Well,
as a
I'm
person?
Master of Woo.
I'm Master of Woo, also known as Wizard of Woo.
Wizard of
Uh,
Woo West.
I've been co-hosting the Crystal to Join podcast with Karl for about a year now or so, somewhere around there. I had been a guest of the show a few times before that. Been a fan of his show for almost since the beginning, since the Third Time Lucky co-hosting days. And
Did you have a poster on your wall?
Karl knows. It's on my ceiling right above my bed.
Ooh,
Um,
nice.
and I also co-hosted another Clash-related podcast called sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Anyway, it was with a good friend of mine, Hero, who passed away. It's called the Only Clash Podcast. He was an awesome guy. We all had a lot of fun together, playing the game and doing that show. And after his passing and Karl's previous co-host C-Note decided to move on and do his own thing, Karl asked me to prom. So here I am.
What'd you say?
I said yes. For sure. I don't know if you've heard that I had that poster above my bed, but this was time
Yeah.
for me to make all my dreams come true. So yeah.
Yeah,
We have a lot of fun on the show. We talk about a lot of stuff that just happens in the clan and a little bit of the Clash community. And Karl is very nice to put up with me for all this time. So
well, welcome to the podcast,
Oh my.
thank you.
Karl, the Walker.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So started my second Clash of Clans podcast right about when COVID got serious in the U.S. So going on, what's that? 4.5 years strong. Yeah, it's a Clash podcast that is it's we disguise as a Clash podcast, but realistically, it's just two dudes hanging out, talking like brothers, which is
Well,
what most people want to hear, right? That's what people really want to hear. They don't want to hear inside stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
just
Well,
a couple of guys hanging out talking Clash.
it kind of is a little bit more than that, though. I mean, like two professional Clash of Clans players, right?
That is fair. That is a true actual fact that we're professional players. You got that right.
It
We
is,
just
right?
broke
I
the
mean,
scale on
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Congratulations. And this
thank
was
you.
from
Thanks.
was this a Chaos Cup?
Mm,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Congratu
tentatively, I don't wanna spoil anything here,
Yeah.
tentatively,
You
we're
can hear
3rd
all
place right now, but there's a controversy. I don't know if you heard, Scotty.
Mm.
There's a big
I did hear.
controversy sweeping Twitter. You haven't heard about this yet?
I did actually. GCBC mentioned it yesterday.
Oh.
Mhm.
We we got some stuff in the works. I mean, you can ask if you want, Scotty, but there's some stuff in the backgrounds that may have been given to certain content creators, so we'll see what happens.
It so what I guess I didn't hear anything about any of the I guess it was what I heard, and maybe I thought this is what I thought you were referring to, was the bracket with
Mhm.
the 1st and the 3rd fight for the in the 2nd place is doesn't do anything?
It's not kind of, but not a little twist of that. Basically, in a nutshell, the Chaos Cup rules said that rosters are locked at a certain part of the tournament and that you have to hit on face cam to prove that you are who you are, you're not handing off your tablet, something like that. Anyways, we were in the winners bracket finals. We lost. We actually got wrecked. We went to the losers bracket finals. Winner of that goes to the grand finals because it's double elimination. We rematched the team that we had previously beat, who made a roster change past the time when you're allowed to, and didn't hit on face cams and made a deal about it. So we challenged because it was breaking the rules. The tournament organizer did not uphold the challenge. They just said, "Sorry, you lose anyways." But that caused a ruckus because it was clearly breaking the rules. So several
Yeah.
people spoke on our behalf. So there's a small internet community backing to say potentially that the result should be changed because of multiple breaking of the rules in the tournament, and anywhere to the point if we get a rematch or a disqualification, we still might be in the tournament. But right now we're 3rd place, which is in the money. Um, so that's kind of in a nutshell what the scandal is right now.
And so, like, if it goes for what people are pushing for, what does that kinda
They,
look like? Does that are
um,
you going wanting a rematch or
I think most of it is just a disqualification of the other team, which would put us
Yeah.
back in the tournament, and then we would have to win two in a row to win the whole thing versus the team that crushed us. So it'd be we got a chance. We got a chance. It's
Mm.
not a good chance, but we'd be back in the tournament, and then we would do no worse than second.
Well, it's kinda like, what's the point of the rules then? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially when you ignore 'em just when it counts, and then nothing happens, like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
'cause
and,
I'm
and
sorry, go
I was
for it.
just gonna say a lot of the conversation that we had leading into the final stages of the tournament was, hey, we have to submit a final roster and we have to hit on cam. So we need to make sure you guys understand that and that whoever's, going to be on this roster is willing to follow those rules. And we kind of looked at it like if we don't do these things, we're going to have to forfeit a match. And we made preparations to make sure we didn't put ourselves in that situation. Little did we know, all you had to do was just ask and go, "Hey, can we have roster changes and not hit on cam?" And the answer would have been yes to both of those questions. And then, you know, uh, things may have been
Right.
different. And so I'm with you. It's kind of like, what's like? I felt like the point of having that was so that the tournament had some integrity, right? So it's like, hey, there aren't any shenanigans going on because these rosters are set a few weeks in advance and everybody has to hit on cam so we can verify ownership and fair play. And then you get literally to the second to last match and go, yeah, those things actually don't matter now. Yeah, it's kind of like we were all kind of a little shocked that it happened, and even more so shocked that the reaction was almost flippant, almost like, what are you complaining about? What's the big deal? They asked for it and we said yes. What's the big deal?
And maybe, like, I don't know, maybe in the context of, like, this thing, it's, like, doesn't seem like such a big thing, but then it's, like, next cup, right? Like,
Exactly.
okay, well, we'll just do
What do you
whatever, and then we'll wait till the
Yeah.
last round and then ask and then bring in,
Yeah, and that's a great point too. It's kind of like, well, if any rule can be bent or changed at any time, then what is the point? Like, anyone can get the rug pulled. Anyone can be bamboozled. It's almost like
Yeah.
if you're not asking for them to bend the rules for you, then are you even trying to win at that point? If you know
Yeah.
that every rule can be rescinded. So yeah, it's
And
it's
that's what a
it's
ref's
stirring
there
up a little
for.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be
what they
pissed
should
off if
be.
it
Yeah.
was me because it's like, well, this is what we signed up for. This is what we
Right.
got on camera for. This is if it appears like it's below board, then the whole thing comes into question. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I
But
mean, and there are some people talking a little bit about, you know, is there some kind of favoritism that's playing a role in that decision that was made? Because we've gotten word that there were part of the team that was helping to organize and moderate this tournament didn't agree with these decisions, and they were basically shown the door. So
mm,
it was almost like a one-sided decision that was made, and so people are kind of questioning like what's the motive to do that when everyone else is kind of sees this as like, we shouldn't be doing this to favor one team. But the
yeah,
decision was made anyway. So
Carl, what do you think? Are you seem very quiet?
I'm just getting my popcorn out. Like the
Oh,
fact that I mean, literally our team is a bunch of Scotty, this is gonna surprise you having a Clash of Clans podcast. I literally don't play the game. I play Comp Wars. I do Regular Wars. That's it. Just the fact that I'm only playing like once or twice a week and we're against these pro teams and stirring up a mix. I'm just getting my popcorn out. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah.
just letting them cook.
Ooh, see what's gonna happen. Well, who
Yeah.
are the organizers of this tournament? Do they do more than the Chaos Cup? I'm kind of starting to learn all about this tournament stuff, and
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, we have a guy, we have a couple guys on our team that
Mhm.
are very involved in the pro community, and I mean, they do base building, testing. They're in every competitive server. They do all
Mhm.
our negotiations for for our timing of all of our matches and stuff. So, like Carl said, like the most of us on the team we just kind of like show up when we're told to show up, and we do what we're told. Okay.
Yeah.
And so those guys have all the details. They know all the personalities. They know all these people that are in play here. And we're just like, put me in, coach. Okay, I'll throw the
yeah,
ball, I'll swing the bat. That's pretty
Mhm.
much it.
so they get to duke it out too,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You guys are now at the top of the game. You're in the 1%, living life. Doors open easy for you. Uh,
Short walk from our car to our office. Absolutely.
does it feel good? I mean, you
Oh,
like,
no.
yeah, yeah. We have to get into that very, very soon. Um, like, at what point? This is kind of one of my big questions. Thinking about now, you guys you're officially professionals, and I'm starting to wonder in some ways, like, if there isn't like ways around that, right? Like, if you're on a professional sports team, even if you're like on the sidelines, doesn't that make you a professional football player?
Yes. If you make the practice squad, you're still a pro. That's exactly
Right.
right.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
figuring out how I can
Mhm.
like sneak this in,
Yeah.
right? I, s-
Get a ring.
I stand.
Didn't play it
Well,
down, got a ring. Yeah.
That's right. That's
well, I
right.
was watching Rudy the other day, and I thought, he he didn't really do anything that spectacular, like, but he still
Right.
got the jacket and stuff,
Mhm.
like they
I
let
mean,
him on in that
Scotty,
last.
we say all the time, rule number 1 is show up,
Just
okay?
show up.
If you sign up for something and you show up, you've already done better than 75% of people, right?
Do you have to be smiling, or is this just
No, no, just show
no?
up. You can begrudgingly show up. You can even instantly leave the voice chat and the clan when we drop a war. That's okay too. We're okay with that as well.
You'd be surprised, Scotty, about how many wins you can get by just making sure that you have a team every time, not forfeiting, and then hitting on time. Just like
Mhm.
doing the basic rules of doing a 5v5, you'll get
Really?
like I would say we probably get like two we were getting we probably averaged 2 wins a month by just following the rules of getting our hit times in and then showing up two free wins a month just by doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's kind of
gotta
wild.
figure there's a lot of, I mean, we were there at one point with FTB C2J where, FTB had two pro clans with
Hmm.
extremely skilled players, highly sought after players. And Fatal, from the FTB organization started playing around with us, slumming it with us. And he was like, "You guys want to form a team?" And we're like, "Okay," And so he just started signing us up for stuff and just kind of making us show up. And so we were there at one point where it's like, guys, do we have enough? And can we do this? And who's available? And you kind of struggle your way through those early stages. And there's plenty of teams out there that are in that stage right now. So if you're just a little bit more organized and have your shit together just a little bit more than the next guy, like sometimes that's all you need to
Hmm.
get a couple W's under your belt.
It's gonna happen one of these. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna do it. So you are now the pro. You've been climbing up. What point did you become? When when did you start playing like initially? And like when did you become on the path to pro? Where you were like, okay, this is where I'm gonna excel.
Hmm. I I think honestly it was uh, Town Hall 16 is what did it because it was a meta, and it would be interesting to get Wu's take on this. But we succeeded because honest to goodness, we're usually not as good as the other team is. But we have a meta of uh, attacks that are in that average skill range that are low risk, and we don't try to like do something crazy, right? Like we don't risk the wild attack usually, and so we take the safer option. So when root riders were insane, we just did basic root rider stuff. When the fireball witches were super insane, when druids were like beyond busted, like we were very safe. Like I think the so 10 L 16 is really when we took off because we were horrible at 15. We like won like one match ever. Like 15 was like we literally were the worst comp team in history. 16 hit, we started to win a lot, and it was shocking to us. And then all of a sudden, if you win enough, you make the playoffs and you get a little bit of momentum. But I think the real turning point was the Super Bowl, the Super Witch Druid attack. A whole bunch of us were really good at it. It was low risk, we didn't try to do anything fancy. And so that's when we ended up beating teams that we shouldn't have beat because they would do the super fancy fireball. And every once in a while it would miss. And we would just do the basic attack and get that 14 to 15. And we would be able
Right.
to beat a few of those teams. So I think that's kind of the turning point that made us do this deep push because, and just to give you an example, the former world champions, F Ching, we played the first round of Chaos Cup. They should have beat us. They were way better than us. They did a really crazy, amazing attack that looked like it was absolutely crushed, and it just fizzled at the last second. And we beat them 15 to 14. But in no other meta would we have ever been able to beat them. So it was just the right meta and the right game plan, and not taking the risks and just kind of synergizing with each other. And we were able to basically like manufacture wins. Is like my 2 cents on it.
But they probably said that about other people. And I was listening to that episode and I was like, okay, so here so here you are against like these former uh world champions, and it's like would you have thought how long ago would you have thought that would be crazy?
The day before the match.
The day before?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll echo what Carl's saying. I think meta change, the nerfs, the hard mode, I think all helped us out because really
Hmm.
before that, we talked about it many times. It was Clash of Clocks. And it
Oh
wasn't a
yeah.
matter of getting the 3-star. It was a matter of how creatively and quickly can you get a 3-star. You're talking about sub minute 30, sub minute 20, attacks. And to do that at a very consistent high level, at Town Hall 16, I mean, that was the pros pro. I mean, that's what those top clans were doing. And when the nerfs came about and hard mode was introduced, it was like it really did kind of level the playing field in that, like Carl said, some of these other attacks were getting more risky. There was a chance for them to fizzle out, and that's really what kind of opened the door for us, mediocre, type of players,
Mhm.
to really, hit our rhythm. And as far as like pro stuff goes, for me, uh, I am very happily riding the bench as long as I can ride the bench. But I'll come in a pinch anytime. There's so many discussions about what I do without me in the voice channel. Like, let's see, are we really? What's he gonna do? Let's see how this goes. Like, I know this happens. I'm totally fine with it. I deserve it. And but I will say, back in the old days when Town Hall 10 was the highest level, I did join an original CWL group of clans. I joined the Buy Forever organization,
Oh yeah.
and I played with those guys, Valor Morgulis, and I was a Town Hall 9 at that time. So I was interested in like kind of being more competitive way back then. And then Town Hall 11 came out, and everyone hated the game, and they got their gem refunds and all that. And I took a little bit of a break, and really didn't come back to playing at any full time scale until I found the Crystal to Join podcast and started playing with all these guys. And honestly, I know we can talk about like Crazy Run and rules and all these matches and stuff, and really, a couple things have come into play for us. Number one is that we have an amazing group of people that just, for the most part, have a great time no matter what. Like, it kind of doesn't matter who the opponent is. We kind
Yeah.
of go through the same motions every time, and that's really kind of a testament to Coach Fatal. Our guy from the Found This Base organization that's really kind of pushed us into this direction. And it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, we can talk about the drama and rule changes, and are we second, are we third, are we getting a rematch, all that. But really, I mean, I look back on these last few matches that I've been able to play with these guys, and it's like I have these memories.
Yeah.
I'm happy to play. We've had a great time preparing for this. We get jazzed up in the voice chat, and it's just a lot of fun. So
Well, and I,
Mhm.
kind of say that to be like, this match that you won is like, okay, that's a professional match. But to me, it's like you guys were just you were facing the top former top champion in the world. I mean, doesn't that then put you in that same class? Do you know what I'm saying? Anyways, it's like,
yeah, yeah. We talk about this too. It's like it's the math, right? It's the opponent math. It's
yeah,
like, well, we beat them and they were that, so we're this, and it's like, it's fun to put yourself there, and then we'll drop a random war against like a nobody, and we'll be like, well, yeah, here we are again, guys. It's like, I mean, that's just how it is. That's the game has ups and downs. People go through their hot streaks where they can't do anything but triple,
Mhm.
and then they can't
yeah.
they can't buy a 2-star. I mean, that's the kind of team we are. We know that we're that team, and we just happen to, that, like Karl had started off this segment with. It's just like the meta really favored our style heading into
Mhm.
this Chaos Cup.
Well, that's the thing. It's the team, right? Like that's the beauty of it. And like I was listening to when you guys were talking about it's probably one of like several different episodes, but like I think it was something to do with uh quitting, or it was like, Supercell, money grabbing and thinking about like, the meta changes and like year to year. And I kind of think this is pretty perpetual state of things, like with the balance where it's kind of always walking that line of
It's like the casual and the pro. They're always trying to find the balance between forcing activity because the game is fun and easy, but also making it competitive enough for people who want that side of the game to have
Mhm.
content and have something to do.
a year ago people would still be talking about this, or 5 years ago would still be talking about these same conversations of like what's going to happen, but like the community, like bringing it all together, like having that the thing that unites you. Like Carl, you said, you don't play
Mhm.
anymore. uh And so you're showing up for the community, right? Like, for the friends and everything,
Hmm. Yep.
which pisses me off a little bit
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Supercell told me I had too many friends on my thing, which I don't know how that's possible. By the way,
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
little aside. I don't know who
Yeah, right.
most of them are, but
Of all the nerfs, they have to nerf Scotty's friends list. I mean, are you
yeah,
serious,
right?
Supercell? Give
You've
this guy
had
a
too
break.
many? Like, Jesus Christ. Where are you guys feeling now like, the balance is good? Well, let me preface this.
Um,
You were saying the time thing and, like, listening to
mhm,
because I've been listening backwards, and, like,
mhm.
once you start to get into the time thing, you can really tell more, like, I think, enthusiasm for it, but I just realized going backwards, like, you hadn't been talking about some of the time stuff, lately.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What's that look like? How are you
I
feeling about 'em?
I hated the time meta because uh so part of it too is because there's like 3 teams in the Find the Space org that sometimes for certain tournaments we like combine rosters just for people who can play when like Worlds for instance. So like Worlds was like it was like one find, I don't remember exactly. It was like one find,
Yeah.
one found, and like 3 C2Js, and that was when the time was like a thing. So, and I played, and I don't know, it was like you had to play like in
Yeah.
30 matches or something insane. But like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you didn't triple, it was like you just like completely let down the team. And then if you didn't triple in a minute 30, it was like right on that. You also
Yeah,
didn't like it was too stressful. Like it was like you do all these matches and it was just too much, right? Like all these pros are trying to
yeah.
do these minute attacks, but it was like when I was on the thing, it was like I'd rather be it a little bit harder and have it be a question than you have to guarantee a triple and you have to do it in such a way like those that wasn't actually a fun tournament. It was like 30 wars and it was hella stressful and they're all 30 minutes, took up your whole weekend plus. Like I think that was bad overall for I think like everything personally. But
So you're happier now?
yeah, I think the pre-Druid nerf was the most fun for me because it was, and that was I'm being selfish because that was the exact perfect time for our team. Um, that
Oh,
so that was where it was like you remember at Town Hall 14. I don't know if you remember this, but at Town Hall 14, where pros were complaining the game was too easy because some of those casual teams could beat a pro team. It was this. It was a short window, but it was the same.
that's
And
glorious.
so that was it was fun for the underdogs. So like an underdog meta, I think the Super Witch pre-Druid nerf was the underdog meta, and that was like really amazing. And like as we said, we'll be talking about that for like 20 years now about the run and the wins. You know what I mean? So that would be
Glorious.
my favorite time. Yeah.
Do you think they knew that the cocaine bears were gonna be nerfed like that bad, or do you think that came on pretty surprising? That
I think they almost release troops now, um, overpowered, and I've been a proponent of them doing that. I think they should because when you release like Super Valk. I mean, you'll see a few creative the first day or week that they're out, you'll see a few creative attacks on YouTube or something, but then like they're pretty much done because there's so many other troops with the same space that give you more value in the attack meta. So I think they've kind of learned from some of those mistakes that they've had, and pretty much everything that they release now is overpowered and it just gets dialed back, throughout the year. I think that's what they'll do going forward. And I'm all for breaking the game in that way. It does feel bad to be like to get on board with a specific meta and then have every single part of that meta nerfed on you, right? That's
yeah,
not a
I
good
can
feeling.
imagine.
But really like, to Carl's point about the whole, clash of clocks that we went through. I mean, I agree with both of you guys. That was bad all around because I felt like if the meta stayed where that was all the way up until Worlds, I mean, Clash of Clans esports is already kind of an extremely niche, audience. I mean, what is your audience going to think if the whole world championship comes down to a time tiebreaker? I mean, that's
Yeah,
not fun. Like that doesn't display real skill or like what the game is all about. Is just destroying a base in a minute and 10 seconds. So I'm glad that they introduced hard mode. I'm glad that they've nerfed where they are, and I agree with Carl. I'd rather be in a meta where, you know, um, you can get a couple 2-star defenses on either side. The war's still up for grabs. It's not like it's got to be 15 or go home.
One quick point to that too. We had probably half of the base testers for the world base building, like buy a base like company in the clan, and builders would come over and then uh, they would test bases and Crystal to join. Some of our players would go leave to other clans to go test bases. And during that time, it was like so bad that literally base builders were like losing their jobs. Like they would come over to our
Yeah.
clan, they could
Oh,
never get a
really?
defense, and they would basically either rage quit or get fired. Like it literally was a thing that we would watch. We would watch the FCs in the clan. Crystal would join, some base builder come up, and Ghost Knight or Fatal would triple their base like 30 times, and they literally they got the boot. Like we watched it firsthand. It was pretty wild. It was just not good. It just felt like it was toxic for everybody. Is kind of my
Yeah.
impression of it.
And so, like, when you're over in your clan, like, what is it like? Do they like serve you things and like you get like
I
the
well
epic
most
because you got base builders like walking around and you're like
we
mingling with all the
It's it's funny you mentioned
people.
that because even to get into the clan, like if you're a new player and you want to get into the clan, Wu has this rule that you have to fan him and feed him cotton candy grapes, even even to be in the clan. It's kind of weird. It's kind of niche. It's kind of a fetish of him, but we don't kink shame, so it's fine. So it's
Yeah,
okay.
Ghost Knight had a fetish too. He roasted a whole goat in our dressing room after his interview.
No, I mean, honestly,
Crazy.
Scotty, like we have been notorious for saying like the bar to play with C2J is extremely low. Like we have many clans for many different town hall levels and skill levels and activity levels. And if you just want to play and you want to be a part of it, we'll find a home for you, and
Mhm.
and you can
Yeah.
definitely be part of it. Yeah.
It's I think the best way to describe the extremes of the clan was literally on the same day we had a player in the clan that was one of the judges for Carbon Finn's Creative Master Series, and we also had a player that for their war attack dropped every single drag on one tile for their war attack.
Oh my
So
god.
that's the extremes that we have in the clan, which is amazing.
Yeah, we love it.
You just must have like awesome community around there. Like sounds like you're pretty active and stuff on like Discord and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so active that we've had to delete probably 3 of the general chats over the years.
Really?
Some of them are
Yeah,
archived. Yeah.
yeah.
Some of them weren't technically deleted. I want to give away trade secrets, but they're archived for future receipt taking.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, little look back through well, one of the big things on your podcast that I've been enthralled with and really tried really hard not to talk about before we started recording, before I manically looked for my lost e-cigarette and all of that, was this executive pass. Congratulations
Oh, thank you.
on pro Clash of Clans player,
Yeah.
executive pass holder.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
are you feeling about the pass?
Um,
I honestly was really riveted by the story.
I don't want to brag, but I'm kind of balling out right now, Scotty. I don't know if you
Are
heard.
you?
I feel, I feel like a king. I now park only s- 6/10 of a mile away instead of a full mile. It's pretty amazing,
Very
So
nice.
yeah, and
It
I,
it
fear every day of not accidentally putting my parking pass out on my dash and getting a ticket. So that's also amazing. So there you go.
so now, okay, let me I'm picturing, like, as I'm listening to the story, like, I'm picturing, uh, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like,
Mm.
have you seen that movie?
Mhm.
He's going to get his car, and there's just cars as far as you can see. Is this parking
Mhm.
ramp? So, Karl gets a promotion at work.
Mhm.
There's, drama in this really a quest to,
Mm.
receive his
Mhm.
prize for his
Yeah.
promotion, I
Correct.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
is the best.
You can
And so
literally
I'm
see
trying
the
to get
light coming down, highlighting the parking spot that he would have that he
yeah,
walks by every
like,
day.
he's
Future
walking past.
mission waiting for him. Yeah.
He's got his job. He's doing the work, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
That you're but yet walking the walk of
Yeah.
the bottom 99. So is this
That's a
one big
great way.
parking
That's a
lot,
great way to put it.
Um, the
or is
the
this
funny
like
thing is it's kind of an awkward parking situation to my job, so there's only one other executive lot that's closer, that's pretty close, but there's basically this is just people think I'm crazy. There's a parking lot, and then there's literally residential houses, and then the work. So there's
okay,
houses
so it's like little
between.
pods?
They're like mini mansions, kind of.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
always picture this as like a campus, like a college campus. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm thinking.
It's like
yeah,
you
it's a
got this
closer
one
house.
building. Yeah, you got this one building where everybody's got to go, but because
Yeah,
So
there's
it's like the
other little
mountain in
buildings
the
in
distance.
between.
yeah,
Yes, exactly. With a fiery eye above a tower.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
And there's like all these other buildings in between, so the parking is kind of spread out. And so
Mhm.
Carl is just trying to get as close as possible. You know what I mean?
And no good deed, right? So like, the new job is zero extra pay, a lot more stress, and then we haven't even filled the new job yet. So I'm literally doing my new job and my old job at the same time. Allegedly, I might be so stressed out that I'm getting 3 hours of sleep a night. Allegedly, that might be occurring. So obviously, this parking pass was totally worth it. No poor life decisions were had and everything is fine. So my life is perfect.
Well, it could open the door for a closer parking pass,
In
Yeah.
10
right?
years, when I get that one closer.
Listen,
Whoa.
I'm doing 2 jobs at once here. I
Yeah.
I don't have any time. If I'm gonna park, just say that. If I'm gonna park, I'm not gonna be able to get that done in time.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll have to try to
I've
sell
tried
that.
to talk him I've tried to talk him into leveraging certain things for a while now, and it's like pulling teeth.
That's fair.
I
I'll give you that.
well, and that's where I was really interested in this story of how you were going to ask for your parking pass. I mean, that's
Mhm. Yeah, it didn't go
so you
well.
so like the first time you ran into her, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like talking to her and you just didn't do it. You didn't
Right.
ask.
Yeah,
And
that's
then she
right.
went on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah.
I've thought about this a lot. They all have names.
So is Woo.
This is like a choose your own adventure, and he literally flipped to the wrong page like so many
Yeah,
times in a row.
that's true.
Well, and I thought Wu had some really good points, and
Mhm.
then so she comes back, and so this is for
Mhm.
kind of like the listeners to recap. Yesterday on Days of Our Lives, uh, it's so she comes back from vacation, and then it's like,
Mhm.
when do I ask? When
Yeah,
do I
exactly.
make the move? And you did it.
Mhm.
Was it the day she
Mhm.
came back? It was the next
No,
day, wasn't
no,
it? It was a week
I
later.
had to build up to it.
Was
It
it a week
was
later?
yeah, I mean, it was a couple days. And so I was
Like
building
a
up the courage, but
Thursday or
then
Friday?
it was a Tuesday, I think, because she was leaving again on Wednesday. So
Oh,
if I
okay.
didn't do it then, I would have to wait another chunk of time. So I waited literally at 4 p.m. right before she was leaving work to go on vacation, or I can't remember what she was doing, or a work trip. It was a work trip. So I waited till the last minute, and then that's when it took several more days to go ahead and get that processed, and then I got my pass. My pass was
So what'd
ready
you
for pickup
what'd
Friday
you say
afternoon.
what'd you say to her exactly?
I said, "Hey, I'm like so sorry to have to ask about this, but I remember the last person that had this job had a parking pass. Any chance that that one's like still available? Like, does this job come with a parking pass?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, so sorry. I should have told you about the pass." And I'm like, "No worries." That's how it went. Like literally almost verbatim.
Oh, you pretended that you didn't know that there was a parking pass
Oh, yeah,
available?
yeah, I played that off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I played it off like it didn't matter that much. It was like 9.9% repeating the reason why I took the job. So
Okay.
I think I proved Scotty.
Oh no, I'm
Okay.
no, because I was listening. Okay, I'm like, all right, and Wu had some good points.
He did.
Huh.
What would you have done if she would have said nothing?
Oh, Scotty. Oh no.
I think some of the terms that come to mind are depression,
Oh,
anxiety.
okay,
Yeah, it's not good.
Electric scooter.
okay.
Oh, no, I'll never be that desperate to ride an electric
Or,
scooter. I will die on that hill.
well, rollerblades.
Rollerblades. That's a good one too. Hey,
That's
Carl,
real
they
good,
make
yeah.
those new skates that are like electric walking assist. It's like you're on a moving
Yeah,
sidewalk all the time. Those are cool. Dorks don't wear
or
those.
or those or those shoes, or those shoes that have
Mm.
like little roller things in them.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
built-in
Oh,
roller skates, yeah.
you could Healy
You would
your way all the way to the office
well, when you
in
went
your
to talk to
Jinko
her,
jeans.
Yeah.
when you went to talk to her, you should have at least you could have started with a limp, right? Like
Oh,
walking
that's a
in there,
great point.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
build build into it. Was it just uncomfortable for you to ask her?
Oh, it was super uncomfortable. It's like, Scotty, here's the deal. Um, I'm not really good at life. I just am able to cherry pick out points of Clash of Clans that pretend like I'm good at life during the podcast, but realistically, I'm really struggling over here. Just, full disclosure.
Well, I mean, I totally empathize with you because I used to, be a lot like that, and I was thinking, like, "How would I have handled this?" Well, 1, I would
Mhm.
have, been, like, faking a limp. Oh, yeah, just, like, hint I wouldn't even
That's
taken the
really
job
good though.
first.
He's a
I would
pro,
have
Carl. This guy's a
Yeah,
pro.
I I
yeah.
would have been walking past and, like, subtly hinting at it and be like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's really, really acting up, and, is there anything for parking pass?" Um, that's one way to do it. Um,
Yeah,
I think the other way that I would have maybe done it, like, okay, so you got your job, right? And the
yeah,
parking
yeah,
pass
yeah,
is I was think, just do the work for them because you talked to the parking guy. You knew what was up with the what, right?
yeah.
And so what I
See, I had
said,
the inside track. I should have just went for that. Yeah.
I would have said, "Hey, my job comes with the parking pass. Um, right? Yeah. What do you need from her? Okay. Just that? How about this? Can I just write you can I email her and say, "Hey, here's the request.
Yes.
All you have to do is reply all to
Yes.
this with the permission."
Love
Because
it.
then you got another guy in the know. He
Yeah,
gets to see
Mhm.
yeah.
it, and then she's on it, and all she has to do is say, "Yeah." And then you go to
Fast
her and
track.
just say you walk past, "Hey, I know you're probably busy from your vacation, so, I was talking to Don while you're gone down over in
Yeah.
parking,
Yeah.
and
Check your
he just
inbox.
said to do that, so I just went ahead and, I'm gonna shoot you an email, and then you can just reply to it." So, if you just act like you're on your way somewhere,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the best way to be able to describe it.
Yeah.
Um,
So you can't get sucked in
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
to a long
Oh, hey, I was
conversation.
just like you wanna see her, you wanna run to
Yeah.
her. Hey, you're, like, limping down the hallway, and you're like, "Oh, I was coming to ask you about this, but while I'm here" boom, boom,
Mhm.
right? "Oh, I was just making sure everything's taken care of for this parking pass." And then if she said something, then you just act dumb. "Oh, I didn't oh, it doesn't come with a parking pass? Oh, I thought that was in the flyer. Oh, okay, no problem." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I can just
I
see
mean
this exploding in a Seinfeldian way where she's like, "Oh, that is a really bad limp. Let's get you a handicap placard.
yeah.
Bring in a doctor's note." And Carl's like, Damn it! No,
You're like,
I gotta fake this limp at the doctor's office now.
like fake
He's on
fall out in
WebMD
front of
looking
her.
up hip pain symptoms and stuff so he can have all the terminology ready. He's like,
Oh,
"What have I
Fake
gotten
God.
myself
fall.
into? I just wanted a parking pass."
You get ice there, don't you?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, just icing it up. Yeah,
Oh, I took a big one today. That's that's just or, the
Mhm.
other thing one thing I'd probably end up doing just because 'cause I'm weird like that is I'd probably go, I think we could figure out this parking situation better." Maybe we need a task force to
And
to
Carl
figure
ends
out
up
how
being
we can
on
more
the parking
efficiently put
task force. It's
time and
another job that
resources.
he has to do.
Oh
Yeah.
my
But we can
God.
make this parking more efficient. I mean, that could have been your job,
Mhm.
answer to your which was an awesome answer to your interview question, by the way.
Um,
Honestly,
after
guys,
people
right? Is that
after after people heard I got the job, they I got a lot of people asking to help practice interviews because they were like, if you were able to get that job strictly based on an interview, you gotta be a good interviewer. So I didn't know if that was
Oh,
an insult or a compliment.
that's what we call a backhanded compliment, Carl. Like,
well
"Oh my gosh, you look so much thinner." It's like, "Okay, wait, what?
Right,
You
yeah.
lost weight?
So
Oh, wait a minute."
so your answer when they said, "Why do you want this job?" was
Yeah. It was that,
this I
the
thought
most
this
satisfaction that I ever got out of my job was helping raise the future generation of leaders in the company.
He's the mother
and did you
hen.
say it like, "Honestly, guys?" Did you
Oh,
say it like that?
I crushed it. It obviously crushed it big time. They totally bought a hook, line, and sinker, and then a few weeks later, I got that parking pass.
Were they nerds? Were they, like, really big nerds?
They
I mean, you
were
guys don't have to
all
say that.
the, um the interview panel was all senior, leaders. So, I mean, I'm not saying that people can't be fooled, but I mean, they've been around the block, right? So, like, if you didn't walk the walk, they would be able to sniff it out, if so to say.
Okay. So they're, like,
Yeah, I
going,
He's saying
mean,
"Ooh, that
it
mother."
was an Oscar-worthy performance is what he's saying.
They're
yeah,
sitting at
well, mm.
they're sitting at dinner, cutting their steak, going, "Wow, that motherfucker dreams about this place at night and making leaders out of us."
Exactly.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's why they just keep piling
Oh.
work on him. They're like, "He's gonna be so happy when we give him this project.
Oh my god. Well,
He
and it
loves
was
this
funny too
place."
because, my boss, when I went to her, got the parking spot, things are going. Um, I might have been progressing into a breakdown, allegedly. And I was like, hey, just so you know, working two full-time jobs, kind of a lot to handle. And not only her, but several other people said, well, we haven't really noticed anything getting dropped yet, so keep doing what you're doing. That was that was what I got put with. And then guess who got put in charge to go hire my replacement? So that was another task on top of the two jobs that I had to do to go hire my replacement to get rid of one of the jobs. So obviously I'm winning at life.
Well, next time somebody says it, just say, "You know what? I'd really like to, but I just don't have the time right now."
Well, it's funny because um you can obviously tell that there's certain phases of confrontation I'm not good at. Obviously, if you're going to take a job like that, you need to be able to deal with difficult people. I'm in a
No.
clan with knobs, so that's clear, right? Like I got to be able to deal with difficult people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's just some of these things that I don't know. It just doesn't like click with me, right? Like I can't say no, which is why I end up in all these like random weekend tournaments that I can't say no to Fatal because he's like, hey, can you play this weekend? I'm like, man, I'm working. He's like, okay, I'll count you in. And somehow I changed my work schedule to do the war because I can't say no, even though I said I was working. It's just like a whole thing. Like Fatal, like, you'll tell him no, and he's like, great, I'll sign you up. It's just
But
the thing that
put me
happens.
down. And I'm
Yeah.
just trying to help you with some work. I used to be very much like that. And then now I'm like, "Okay, at least I can put it off. You know what? Let me
Mhm.
check my calendar and get back to you. I want to make sure I'm doing everything I'm doing well. So,
Yeah.
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh, also, little known fact, I've started my midlife crisis, Scotty. So I'm in a say yes to everything phase right now, and that's not working out super great for me right now. I'm in the yes man, the Jim Carrey yes man phase.
Mm, mm.
Um, that might be contributing to some of the stress. So
Ready for a breakdown? I can't handle
yeah,
it. And then it's gonna
I'm
be like Lester Burnham working at McDonald's. Like, fuck this.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have any good midlife crisis tips, I'm all ears because I've recently just started my midlife crisis. So there you go.
I'm actually drawing a blank on it, actually.
Oh, no.
I can kinda see I get where you're heading,
Mhm,
to the yes, and then it'll just come to a point when you're like, "It doesn't fucking matter. None of it
mhm.
matters because I can
Yep.
walk away from the weekend for the weekend, and guess what? Shit's gonna happen, and if I'm not there to fix it, it's gonna be fine." And it
Mhm,
really, like, because it just goes on, like, it's
Mm.
really weird. Like, I
mhm,
wonder sometimes if I was ever at some place, would it go on? And now it's just like, you know what? Just do what's in front of you, and that's all you gotta do, I think. But I'm still
mhm.
getting over that
Right.
crash, and maybe that's just another little, like, little bump in the phase.
Yeah, life
But it
finds a way. There you go.
Mhm.
well, because 'cause you're supposed to be in the phase, like, now where it's like, yes should feel good. That's what Oprah
Yeah.
says. Yes should feel good.
Yeah.
So,
Um, question though, what is because I've been getting a lot of flack for the age that I'm starting my midlife crisis. What would you say would be a good starting age? I don't know if you heard, Scotty. I tell people I'm 29, but actually I'm in my Jackie Robinson year right now. I'm 42. What would be the
and then
appropriate
44.
age to start a midlife
Well
crisis?
well, who's telling you there's a fucking appropriate age for a midlife crisis?
Yeah, that's
Young
kind of
people.
rude, right?
Fucking Gen Z?
The people who are
They've been watching
30
too
to
much
35.
TikTok, and they're going, "Nope, you're not in that not in that part yet."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
The main
I can
reason that they're saying that they have a problem with his midlife crisis is because they think he's too old for a midlife crisis. They
no
think
way. I think midlife
they're
crisis is
like,
like
"You're ancient.
mid-40s.
You're
Oh,
ancient.
no.
You're having a midlife crisis? You passed it, bud."
Do you work with a lot of young people?
Oh,
Is that
absolutely, yes,
are they
yes.
the ones that are telling you that?
Some of them? Yeah, yeah. I would say probably, I'll say a majority of my friends are probably that right in that, like, 28 to 34-ish range, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they don't know anything yet. No, I mean, when's like, everybody when you're 20 years old, you think old is like 40 or 50 years old, and, like,
Yeah.
everything because you just get out of, like, high school and, like,
Mhm,
you're just so used to comparing 1 grade above you and 1 grade below you,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
yeah.
it's like, well, midlife crisis can come whenever you wanna have it, and guess what? It's a great
mm.
fucking excuse to be like, "You know what? I'm having a midlife crisis. Sorry." And then you get to just you know what? You wanna get up and storm out of a room. You're
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm really overwhelmed. I think I'm going through a midlife crisis." And everybody just goes, "Guess what? Fucking A, man. Okay, we'll give you a little space and some time." You know? And
Yeah.
you say that at work, you go, "Oh, I'm just really going through, I wanna make sure, I'm going through this stuff." And then they go, "Well, shit, maybe he's questioning where if he wants to still work with us. We better give him a raise. We better give him a closer parking pass." So, l
Hey,
let that freak flag fly with that and
Alright,
just own
alright,
it. And then
alright.
when they
let's be
say,
real. Let's be real.
lem yeah, let's
Midlife
be real.
crisis is male menopause. You need to pull yourself together, Carl, all right?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You need
Well,
to control your
when they
emotions.
say, "You're too old for a midlife crisis." I don't know what you're talking about. You know?
He instantly
Go
grabs
fucking
their throats like
yeah.
Homer Simpson.
"What are you talking about? I'm feeling fine."
Perfectly
Th
relaxed.
I th I think it's gonna get better as you get older because
Alright.
I wouldn't wanna be 20 years old again, I'll tell you that much. I
No?
would not.
Okay.
No, you can't walk in if nobody takes you seriously,
Mm.
you
Mhm.
know? Um, nobody will hire you for like big things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you wanna be like you wanna be the cool 50. Everybody's like cool when they're 20 or can be as cool. It's like Gen Z, show me some fucking longevity, right? You say you're
Okay.
cool, but fucking prove it. I've just fucking outlasted you for the last 25 years. Look at me,
Mm-hmm.
professional esports motherfucking player, podcaster,
Exactly.
whatever.
That's what I'm
What are you
saying.
doing?
I'm just
You
trying to
know?
get Karl to get that confidence. He needs that skibbity riz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, they're putting the sexiest man alive on US or yeah, whatever the magazine is. They're not 20 years old. They're not 22
Mm,
years old. They're aged like a fine wine.
all right.
So your best years are yet ahead of you. So midlife crisis is more like just getting rid of the old shit.
Okay.
Come
Wife,
on.
wife, the kids.
No.
Yeah. When you get to be that age, if they're criticizing you, they get to be your age. Yeah, right. No, they'll be nerds that stopped listening to anything new or watching anything new 20 years ago, playing same video games. No, they have nothing on
Yeah.
longevity. You've got the pass. So a little bump in your step. Executive parking pass, professional gamer.
I'm
What
saying.
more could you want?
I,
You were living life. You were saying you had it all. You're feeling
yeah.
it.
Yeah. No,
What's
no
a little
issues.
midlife crisis? Again,
Mm.
free excuse, and you can write it as long as you want. Bring it out
Yeah.
whenever. Just, you can just sigh heavily somewhere, like, things are just getting the boss is riding you and just go, "I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of having a midlife crisis." And then just don't say anything else and you're good.
Mm.
Just likes to
Love
help
it.
you.
Love it. I'm
Uh,
taking notes actually.
are you?
Yeah,
Uh,
right here.
so okay, I've been thinking about that in case you haven't been. I
You
wrote
It's a
some fondly
wonderful
about your work.
psychological case study. It really is. Yeah, I agree. You can really peer into Karl's soul with how he handled this promotion slash parking space
Well,
situation for sure.
and I see myself in it because there was a
Mm-hmm.
time that I would have been like that, but now I
Mm-hmm.
just am starting to realize that most people don't know what the hell is going on, and they're just not thinking about those other things.
100%. Scotty's
You
right.
know, like that
Yeah.
parking pass, she had no idea. She probably was like, it just forgot, she forgot it.
Yep, that's
And
true. It did that. Yep.
and so I'm just like, and I think Woo's right. It's our responsibility to say something and then for them
Hmm.
to do it. But I just realized most people aren't thinking about any of the things, and most of the time they're just gonna forget them. And so, you star your own movie. So,
Yeah. You need a company
parking
car.
lots.
You need a Corvette Z06 to get you to work on time.
Yeah, that doesn't scream midlife crisis at all. So we're we're good there.
Well, you kinda wanna do things with your embrace it.
Yeah.
It's like a prom. You only get one prom, you gotta go to the prom kinda thing, right? Dress up. You can
All
do
right.
whatever you want,
And
but
if
you
you're
can
in
live it up.
Kentucky, you go to prom with your cousin.
Oh
You get
boy.
several proms.
Oh my god.
Uh So I was gonna ask, since you guys are kinda in the know a little bit, do you know what, it's kind of a big segue from the parking pass extravaganza, what we know about TH17,
Oh
new
boy.
hero.
Yeah, there's been some sus leaks,
Yeah.
Karl. We could say that they're
Yeah.
definitely sus leaks. Um,
Hmm.
there's some stuff in the game that people will mine the data, and there's things that Supercell tests that they aren't going to release, or they'll tweak before release, and people will put it out there like it's the whole truth, and that's usually not the case, especially if you're months and months away from when it really will be released. Um, and then today, Karl, we had a document shared with us today
Hmm.
from a notorious source,
Hmm.
with some data from an apparent question and answer session with one of the main devs, and
Mhm.
they basically said they're going to have some. They're going to merge all defenses, so we're going to get an extra archer tower and extra cannon, so we can merge all defenses into ricochet and multi archer towers. And there's a possibility that the Eagle artillery will be merged with the town hall. So,
Oh,
and a new mega defense will be added to Town Hall 17. There's going to be new troops, there's going to be some new barrack levels, new super troops are in the works. And there's a bunch of other things back and forth. Some of the things that people have brought up before about like, are there going to be more clan tools to kind of like make like clan alliances more friendly?
oh
No,
yeah.
they're not really. That's not really on the horizon. Global chat. No, it's not coming back. They don't have any plans on working on that at all. They are looking at pet skins, and they are talking about possibly, just doing 2 new pets per town hall level. So if Town Hall 17
Yeah.
comes out, there may be 2 new pets. They're not looking at letting you do separate abilities. So if you have 2 abilities for your heroes, when you hit that button on the hero, both abilities are activated at the same time. There was a question about, could we
Oh,
separate those abilities? That was a no. Could we add a third ability to the heroes? That's a no. So I mean, I don't know how reliable that information is, but that's some of the stuff that's been leaked out there by sus sources. So take it with a grain of salt. It
I
does
did.
somewhat ring true to the direction that the game has been going in. So I could see a lot of that being either really creative guesswork or actual, facts of the situation. But
I
I
was.
think it's safe to say it might be going in that direction.
I did see on a YouTube I was watching. It was like a fifth hero.
Hmm.
Some one of the devs. Or were you guys talking about that?
Yeah, I mean we've have talked about like eventually they're gonna have to like
Yeah.
and probably it makes sense to cap heroes at 4 because I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot
Yeah.
with where we are right now in the game. So you could have a 5th hero and you could be upgrading one, but there was also discussion in that document that was given to us today that um you would be able to battle with any of your heroes even under upgrade.
That
So
would
that
be
is
sweet.
something that they're looking at in the game, according to this sus document. So
Carl, any comment?
Um, yeah, just to add on a little bit, that document also said that the equipment max caps were going to stay the same for common and epic at 18 and 27. So I thought that was interesting. And then they kept it a little bit close to the chest for like the snacks and maybe some of the other past stuff, which Woo and I have talked about on the podcast, where we feel like there's still a lot of cash to be made, kind of
Yeah.
social engineering different products.
mhm.
Um, and then like kind of a twist to that, I feel like Supercell has this like weird leak problem, and it might not be what people are thinking. I think they either need to like more control what the leaks are coming out or like shut it down because it's I think that I know this is with like probably a lot of games, but I think that they need to kind of control the flow of information better because it feels like leaks are getting out, but it's not building hype. You know what I mean? Like they should be more
Yeah.
calculated with the leaks about getting excitement because the leaks that are coming out now are just whatever these punk kids under NDA spilling it to their friends and then like 7 degrees of separation later that casual players get a hold of this. I think they need to be like this is my tinfoil hat theory. I think they should be more calculated on what's getting out there to build hype for the community to make more money. I think that would be more tactical, but it just seems like the way the Supercell's been doing the updates and the new town halls, like it's not I don't know, it just feels like it's so bland for their like marketing on it. Like and
Almost
they
like
could
they're
leak
testing it.
something cooler. Yeah, I just feel like that their like calculated social engineering leak thing, their game is real sus. Like I don't think it's that good, and they need to do a better job of like building, hype to the community. That's kind of my sense on the leaks.
Kind of seems repetitive. Like uh, almost the exact like a month before equipment's gonna come out, there's like
Mm,
a leak, but oh, you're not supposed to talk about it or something. Like it's
mhm.
kind of hush hush, and it seems to be a trend. It's kind of like the Warden skin on the It's like they're testing reaction.
Oh yeah.
Like, "Oh, are we," which is, and that really kinda makes sense then, Carl, because then it's like they're not using it, they're they're using it to get a reaction to test, um, and kind of
Hmm.
letting the reaction drive it instead of saying, "Oh, here's what's gonna happen. Here's a preview. Here's this. Here's
Yeah.
this." Because then you kinda sit there wondering, "Is it gonna come out?" Because then there's not like a, it's like all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
there. There's not like, "Yep, it's confirmed," and then it's this, and then it's,
It seems like
Hmm.
and I agree with you guys. Like I agree with you, Scotty, that like I feel like the leaks are calculated in the sense of like let's get a reaction and then let's like adjust our direction based on the reaction. And I agree with you,
Mm.
Carl, where it's like maybe they are kind of picking and choosing a little bit, and maybe they're not doing a great job at what they're picking and choosing of letting kind of get out there
Mm.
because it's not really overwhelmingly positive. So, what's crazy to me about this whole situation is they have, this NDA group of creators that they get feedback from on a regular basis that get to play test with things and see things well ahead of time. And they also have, they went away from their own forum on their own website and they're co-opting Reddit and the whole community there. And people are, I don't know if you've ever looked at this, but they're not shy about telling you what they want to see in the game. So it's like, you have
yeah,
two communities of dialed in content creators and people who are active enough to actually post about the game on Reddit, telling you what they like and don't like, and you still feel the need to test out. And I think it's because the community, whether it's the content creators or people who are posting on Reddit, are not focused on how much money is the game going to make. And that's the great divider between the devs and the company running the game and the actual player base is, hey guys, all these things are great, but we have to make money. So we can't give you all these things for free. So there's going to be a pain, there's going to be a negative experience in here somewhere for somebody.
Carl.
Yeah, maybe that is more of that. That does make more sense. That maybe they're just kind of like they're kind of doing like a Carl, right? They're like testing the water it is rather than just going for it, right? Like if I was taking Scotty's advice on the matter, I would just like go for it and put it out there. But it does seem more Supercell's style. I do kind of see that, but I feel like 17 is probably going to be like a turning point, like a little bit, right? Like I feel like, Wu and I have kind of talked about how Supercell needs to give up on recruiting new players. Like that percentage of players is basically they're spending too much money from what they're getting from new players coming into the game. They concentrate on retaining players. I feel like it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to squish the time from, uh, you know, starting the game to 17 max, if they still continue to keep that at a certain area. Because funny enough, I have a friend recently um, who used to play Clash, heard that I played Clash still, and started a brand new account. And he was like, "Oh, I would love to play with you guys." And he's actually a
Right.
pretty competitive player. Like he's like really in the league and some of these other games. He's like a big gamer. So it would have been if he had an account that could get to the top end quicker, he probably would play esports with us, probably. But there's just no way that you can do that, right? But if you gave him the option of paying for a max account for I don't know, $500-600, he probably would do it because of that competitive itch being like a League of Legends player. So I feel like they need to get to a turning point where the whole base builder game grind might not be where you need to be, and they have all the data to back this up. So
Yeah.
I don't have it, but like I just don't. I mean, just through word of mouth and stuff like that. When I remember in like 2014 to 16, I'd be hanging out at the bar and you see people pop open their phone and pop the bubbles on their collectors. Like you would see that, but now nobody is playing it. It's only the players that's been playing for 10 years that you see. So I feel like they still need to decide if they're going to double down on retaining players and trying to get money from those players they're playing for a long time, or if they're still going to try to hedge their bet and recruit new players too. I feel like it's kind of do or die time for that, and maybe 17 will be that turning point.
I always feel like that, I can never get like the perfect metaphor, but like the game is only going to be, let's say let's just say it's 1 year long. And so it's like every year they have to stretch like the one end. And so maybe it's like condense one and stretch the other end. And so like when
Mhm.
I was before I um was gone for a while, like I was always on the cusp of getting maxed out, but it was always like stretching out
Mhm.
like that. And you just felt like, oh God, if I would start now, but at the same time, that beginning to the end is still the same. So it's almost like how do you stretch it to keep it for the people who want like that progression. So like when you say that, I'm like, man, I did a lot since February, like starting in like
Mm.
basically like a town of 12, which is probably really fast to get to now, and
Mhm.
getting close to maxing a 15. I mean, with probably like a month to max that fully.
Hmm.
But like, so I, so I think it's like also like communicating that to people too, because then they look at, oh shit, I'll never be able to get that far. But
Mhm.
it's like I just never would have believed that I could have progressed this far in.
Hmm.
I mean, especially like my heroes, right? Because if the level 90 heroes, and I think I can't even I put more hero levels on than I had on before, and they're almost
Yeah.
maxed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I thought maybe even, like, a 7th builder at certain
Mhm.
levels or something, or for lower town halls, adding a 6th builder earlier could raise people up.
Mhm.
I don't know, it always felt to me like or now it's coming back, the 13 and 14 or 14 and 15 are part of the town hall and stuff, but I don't know, I feel
I
like do you wanna go?
no, I was just gonna say we've talked about it on the show before, and I think the Supercell's missing the boat. That there should be a uh, an account marketplace basically where
Yeah,
you can have you can buy a new account from Supercell. You can pick the level, and there'll be certain features like, hey, do you want your walls to be maxed, or would you rather all of your troops to be maxed, or your heroes to be maxed, or whatever? And they put a dollar amount on it, and they say, hey, buy a max town hall 14 for X dollar amount, and they could even throw in little extras like, hey, you get the boost for a month. You get the loot boost in your clan castle for a month if you buy it from us, or you get 2,000 gems with it, or you get gold pass for 6 months. I mean, they could get creative with having someone buy an account at a certain level for a certain dollar amount, and I think that would cater to maybe new players coming in. you know if you told somebody, like Carl just said, if you told somebody, hey, maybe how much money do you want to spend to get into the game, you could spend X dollar amount and get a maxed out account day one, or you could spend less and farm it up for 6 months and you'll be right there with us. It just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. And the other part of that is the player to player base that is already buying and selling accounts. Supercell knows it's happening, okay? And they've loosened up a little bit over it with the backlash that they got from banning pro players from worlds and big name tournaments this past year. They should have their own exchange, similar to how, is a weird reference, but like similar to how sneakerheads do it. Okay. Sneakerheads, when they have a high dollar, very sought after rare sneaker, they go to a middleman. They go to a sneaker exchange. One guy sends the money, one guy sends the sneakers. The guy in the middle makes sure the money is good, and he validates that the sneakers are good, and then he sends them back out to either party. Supercell can be this middleman and just take a cut of the transaction and go, look, you want to sell an account, post it on our marketplace. We set the dollar amount, what your account is worth based on the stats of the account. So you're not just selling it for an arbitrary amount of money like eBay or whatever. We're going to tell you what your account is worth, and that's what it can go for if you decide to post it. And then they can regulate the exchange, and they can also regulate the fact that that account is locked in and cannot be traded again for a certain amount of time. So you're not going to have players that are able to trade an account back and forth on a daily or weekly or monthly basis and circumvent tournament rules or fair play or whatever. They can regulate that account. Now, I'm speaking from a non-technology perspective, and I'm sure there's a lot of things in the background that would have to happen to make this work. But if you're looking at how long is this game going to last, and where is the new player base coming from, and where's the money coming from? Well, the new player base, I don't know how many new people, to your guys' point, starting up a Town Hall 1 right now and thinking, yay, in 3 years, I might be able to play
Right.
with the big dogs, right? And you have plenty of players that would get into it if there was an opportunity to be quote unquote fair play and be at the top level of the game from day one, or at least close to it. So I feel like, I kind of want to see it happen because it makes sense, but also, to Carl's point about Town Hall 17, it might be a big turning point to where, like, are we going to see a renaissance, or are we going to see beginning of the sunset of the game? And I do think that kind of marketplace for accounts might be the beginning of a sunset, because it would be Supercell admitting wholeheartedly, like, okay, people aren't starting Town Hall 1 accounts anymore. Like, we have to approach this monetary exchange in a different way.
W Well, it's like the town hall. So I think before I maybe would have been a little bit. I guess I'm not sure where I would have fallen before, but, like, the fact that now you fall behind if you're not actively playing it, right? Like, before, if it was a maxed, it was just maxed, and, now new equipment comes out, there's just more and more stuff, so they actually have to be played. Um, and so, like, I could see how, like, account then could be devalued, like, "Alright, your account's worth this right now," and then as time goes on, my only thought, and I guess this is more of a question, but if it was, and maybe you're not saying cheaper, but if it was easier to do just to come in and then all of a sudden people just started just buying accounts, never farming up, and just winning taking over the worlds or something, would that bother you?
I mean, it's already happening.
Yeah, that's what I guess you can
It's
just buy an
already
account. You can
happening.
just level it up and do whatever anyway, like with
Yeah,
gems.
it already happens. I mean, yeah, you can definitely spend the gems, but there's already guys. I mean, this was the whole controversy in the pro scene in the last 6 months or so, was that, several high level players got their accounts scanned, and the accounts that they were using in these pro wars and these Supercell sanctioned events weren't even the accounts that they bought. These were the accounts that they've owned from day one, but because they had other accounts linked to their
Yeah,
profile that were bought from other people, they caught bans, and the community came together and was basically like, "Come on, like, they're farming these, or they're using them in other for other reasons, like get basically cut us a break here." And Supercell rescinded those bans. So I think they're already softening against it. And I mean, let's be real. How many players are going to spend the amount of money that it might be worth to buy
right,
a high level account? It's probably going to be somebody who's either very interested in getting into the pro scene, which, I mean, look, if a pro player from another esports organization outside of Clash of Clans was like, yeah, let's throw our hat in, do you think Supercell's going to be like, we don't want your money or your
right.
attention? They're going to be like, come on over. We'll sell you in a max account if you
Yeah.
want to bring hype to our event. Or
Mhm.
if you have already pro players that are like, I want to have, 20 max accounts, we'll take your money too. I don't think there's going to be just some nefarious noob who's out to scam everybody, who's going
Right.
to give Supercell all their money and then run amok through their tournaments.
Yeah. Well, do you it kind of comes back to it anyways, like, and I was thinking about this earlier, and maybe this is a good question, is like, what would you want worlds to be? Like, to make it exciting and to bring people to it? Like, because you're talking, talk about the people, like, coming in and we've got like face cams and things like that. Like, what do you think would make the esports scene just better, I guess, like bigger? Any thoughts on?
I think
What do you think, Carl? Yeah.
the biggest problem is Supercell has an amazing amount of money at their disposal, and they just let all these community events go. Like the only real kind of Supercell event is Worlds. Like they have enough to bring production and marketing um, to the masses. And like if they sponsored a ton of little tiny, tournaments that like just random clans could get into and win some stuff, like I feel like if they even spent like because the amount of money they're making is still very large, if they took a small portion of that and they just put like, hey, just like random signups, you can only sign up for one, so that way clans you don't bump into like Navi and Tribe and all these other clans each time that you bump into other casual clans, and you can win some extra perks, or you can win $20 credit to your account, something like that. I think that small investment would drive more interaction, and then the next time you're like, hey, we're really close to winning $10, which might not actually mean anything because $10 to a lot of people, is a lot of money. Is a lot of money to some people, but some people it's
Yeah,
not. But the fact that you had to earn it, it means
yeah,
more to you that they might spend more money of like, oh, I'm gonna, get my heroes up faster because I want to help the team because that $10 is more of a symbol than the actual amount. So I feel like if they spent more um, of their dollars to help like people be a little bit more competitive to get a drive. And I'm just using the competitive because that would be like an
yeah,
easy carrot to make the drive. Then I feel like $1 million to them is probably a bump in the road, but would provide a lot of community. Like, just imagine a whole bunch of like casual clans that don't try really hard. They don't know all the meta attacks, but they were all on the same skill level, and that they like had a shot at winning a bracket. Right? I feel like that they would be into that because it's like you're going to play pickup basketball. You're not playing against the pros. Everyone's
yeah,
kind of approximate at the same level. That would drive more interaction because just hanging out on your kitchen counter type interaction while you're cooking dinner, I don't think is going to drive people to want to go recruiting or use the tools in game to go try to find clan mates or a new clan or spend 2.99 on a pack or whatever. So I feel like that they should try to spend a little bit more effort organizing stuff themselves, and in addition to the community tournaments. That's what I would kind of propose to them.
I can't remember how Clash Royale does it, but I could almost see like what is that, like a buy-in, a gem buy-in you had to put in for the clan. But you could almost do something similar where like your clan enters a tournament. Like I guess they've kind of already doing that, but where chests are even or whatever rewards or I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
we've tossed that idea out there a couple times where it's kind of like how much more fun would it be if you could do a daily or weekly thing outside of CWL where there was something a little bit more at risk than just like, hey, we get rewards if we win this war. Like, there's a
mhm.
little something else going on there. I mean, and they do have the world's qualifiers, which Carl talked about. And I don't know if you've done any of that, Scotty, but it is
Ah,
an absolute grind. It's like 3 days, and there's a total of 30 wars that you can participate in. And I did it 2 months in a row. I know, Carl, you did it 3 months in a row. And it's just like
Mhm.
all day we're on voice and you're just spinning war after war after war. And there's some strategy to it. If you win a lot early on and you have enough points, based on your wins, you don't really have to spin all 30 wars. But of course, we're noobs, so we we end up in the hole. We have to dig ourselves out early. Um, so I do like that part of it. And I mean, if you look at the production value of the worlds for Clash of Clans, it's great. I mean, they do an amazing job with the announcers in studio, with having the people, the players there, and just like the whole overall look and feel of everything looks extremely polished and professional. It would be great if there were just more people there. I don't know how they solve that. I mean, I know they're doing it in Helsinki, they're doing it in November. I think part of what they're doing this year is good because they're combining, Brawl Stars, Clash Royale, and Clash of Clans into one big event for the World Championships all over like one weekend. And so I think they're kind of hoping there's going to be some crossover and that arena will be more full of people. There'll be more of a crowd reaction. And I think that does help a lot. It comes across, really well on the screen when there is a lot of people in there cheering. So I think they're leaning a little bit towards like getting a little bit more hype with a crossover audience. But I completely agree with Karl. I think there's so much more into the smaller organized tournaments that they could just not even like get control of like they did with CWL, but just literally be like, we're gonna throw some sponsorship dollars behind this and let's just get people excited about it. We're gonna throw $1,000 into the prize pool. Here you go. I don't think that's. I mean, we just talked about Chaos Cup. First place in Chaos Cup is $600. And this is a tournament that has run for 4 months. You know what I mean? So it's like, some people were surprised to know that was first place after this 4-month tournament was $600. Imagine Supercell injecting a little bit of money into these tournaments that run that long. I mean, that would create a tremendous amount of excitement for the players and possibly for the community.
And like think of all the failed games that they've spent so much money on. Like people were wondering like, Itsu, how do you have like 1 billion gems? That's because he spent a whole bunch of money on a game that they just nuked. And then like Squad Busters was the biggest gotcha game that Supercell had tried recently. Like how much is the R&D to like develop those games? Like take like 1% of that and invest it
Yeah.
into some low level interaction in Clash. It just seems like there's a lot of um, company directions that they're going that are just big whiffs. Was my 2 cents.
Well, I think too, it would give the people incentive. So, like, if you're a clan, I think about like the majority of clans that are out there. Some people are kind of um it's serious clans, but a lot of people just are kind of warring, casually or whatever. But if think about if you were like doing smaller tournaments or it was easy, more connected with Supercell, uh, that could pull it together in the menus and stuff. Then you're interacting more. You're also um seeing other people, and people are checking out clan descriptions and just bringing more community around them and then pumping them up. Because I don't know, I thought with that worlds, it was really confusing. Like to figure
Yeah.
out. I thought I could do it. I thought I could be in it and try out for it, but I was in a 16, so um, I couldn't this last time around or whatever. Hopefully next time, but
And
so
I
for
don't think
me,
that's I don't think that's I think that's a pretty familiar experience that people have. I mean, I talked to someone recently who plays Clash, but is not super involved in a community aspect of it. They're just in a random clan. And I talked to them a little bit. They're like, "Oh, I got a Town Hall 15. I'm maxing out my walls." And I'm like, "Bro, walls don't matter. Go to Town Hall 16. Do this, do that." And they're like, "Dude, I just logged in for the first time in like a week, and the game is so confusing. Like, there's 3 different events going at the same time. There's chess. There's this. There's that. Like, I don't even know what's going on in the game." And the news tab is there. They do try to try to keep you informed, but to your point, if you're just a casual player and like how connected, like if there's so much stuff going on, there's so many
yeah,
avenues that they kind of divide your attention that like it can get overwhelming and confusing with all the different things they have going on at any one time.
or even just the world setup. What the hell am I supposed to
Mhm.
do?
Mhm.
Like a whole weekend? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Carl, do you have
Hello.
thoughts?
uh, I just it just like still blows my mind how it just feels like they're always one step behind the ball. Like when everyone is already doing event passes or battle passes, and it was like years later, Super. How are you not on the cutting edge of like a month or 2 later when somebody does it and it's clear that it's working that you're like right behind? It always feels like they're going to be the hipster version of the gaming community and they're going to do something a little different. And like 3 years later, they implement what proven to be good. It just
Yeah.
it's just puzzling to me how they're not like hopping on board of these like known things earlier. It just I
Like
don't know. The whole company
driving it
seems a little weird.
more?
Yeah.
Like driving it a little bit more, you mean?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like keeping up with like I feel like sometimes they think that their game or mobile gaming or however they're rationalized doesn't fit the mold of every other game. Like, and I think that's evidence of when they pulled the skin out of
Yeah.
the pass, and they're like, "Oh my god, why did nobody buy the pass?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, were you not paying attention to game last 10 years? People love cosmetics." Like, it was just blowing my mind how they didn't know that was they had 10 years of gaming history so that people love skins and love cosmetics. That's
Or
kind
that
of the
they'd
best example of it.
risk it even. Like
Yeah, exactly.
isn't it part of the standard monthly thing at this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
suppose we've been rolling for a while here,
Mhm.
and should wrap up. Shout outs or anything else you guys wanna cover? Questions,
It's a dangerous question.
Um, I mean, the only thing I wanna say is, um, I mentioned this to several people, but I feel like, uh, the plot lines have converged. Scotty, I know that you get this a lot. You get this, "Scotty, you're my hero" type of thing, but, like, I remember it like it was yesterday, driving into work, into my sus parking pass in, 2016 or whatever, listening to you on the podcast. So I know you're probably sick of hearing it, but just like thank you for all those old podcasts because it did make my day a little bit better. And I know that sometimes, as podcasters, you see that people are listening every once in a while. I get a message, but it's not often that people really just say like, "Hey, you really did make my bit better," and you really did back. And now that you're back, you still do. So just like thank you for doing that. I know that it's a lot of time and put out the podcast, but it did make my life better when you were doing it the first run. So just thank you.
Well, thank you. I don't really know how to handle compliments very well, so I'll just say thank you. And thank you guys for your content, by the way. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely very highbrow and a lot of effort. Not at all. No, but I'll echo Carl. I'm an OG listener of all these older podcasts, and it's so weird because I just listened to random podcasts back in the day, and then it was like, uh, hey, seemingly there's podcasts about every topic. So it's just like one day it's like, are there any podcasts about Clash of Clans by chance? And like here they all come, they come rolling in. And it really does it's a part of the community that doesn't get a lot of attention because everybody's into the Twitch and the YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But for those people who just want it on during their commute or can sit at work and throw a headphone in or whatever, it's a huge thing just to hear people kind of talk about something that they're passionate about, something that they spend their time doing. So, I know that there's plenty of love out there and there's a lot of hate listeners. And in fact, you were saying you were a
No.
listener. I know you said earlier today, you're a listener, and I wanted to say to Carl, okay, so we officially have 3. That's a great.
Oh, no.
We finally crushed that threshold of 3 total listeners. That's amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's a passionate community, and I know you have a passionate community too. So, it's great to have this conversation about how we've dipped our toe in this pro scene, and
Yeah.
I look forward to come up against your pro team in future
Yeah,
tournaments.
that would that would be fun. I think sometime we should organize like a face off,
Hunt,
and do
dude,
like an event like
as right up our alley.
uh and figure something out as I prepare. I'm on my journey. Um
Oh yeah.
uh I think that'd be great.
Mhm.
I really like the additions to your podcast, by the way. So if you're out there listening and they're talking, uh, it's kind of thinking about your podcast, and it's more like Sports Center in a way, like where not sports. It's like Sports Center where like you've got the two athletes talking about like inside the locker room kind of stuff,
Mm.
which I think is really cool. And I really like your the stuff you add in with like the life stuff and the tips. I think that's pretty cool. Um, your
They
partner.
might
We're
not all
trying to
be good
help out
tips.
Gen Z. We're trying to give Gen Z some
Well, apparent.
longevity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Come on. They really need. But I think what I'm trying to say is it's also about life, which I think
Mhm,
is really cool. Um, and you
mhm.
guys do a great job at bringing that in there. Um, any other shout outs? Did you want to make fun of Ghost Knight a
Oh,
little bit? You didn't really
we
get
could
to
do
it
real
this
shout outs.
time.
We could do real shout outs. And first of all, I have to shout out Scotty for having us on because,
Mhm,
I mean, we've
Thank you
had a
guys for
great
coming
time
on.
here.
Mhm.
Absolutely. We've had a great time here, but you don't understand how risky it is to have us on a show. So Scotty is
Uh,
putting his entire
I'm living
reputation
on
on the
the edge
line.
tonight. It is
Absolutely. He is
Friday.
on the razor's edge having us on the show. So mucho cojones for Senor Scotty tonight. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you guys for calling.
Yeah, definitely shout out Ghost Night, also known as Rage Night right now, Mr.
Oh,
X
really?
Poster. Well,
yeah.
this guy has really poured his heart and soul into organizing us for Chaos Cup. So he is 100% taking the lead on this protest, well, with the organizers. So regardless of the outcome, I just got to give him a shout out for having receipts and being on top of his game here, and you sticking up for the
Yeah,
squad here. So,
exactly.
he's putting in way more effort than I would. So I'm glad. We need a yin and yang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like we need a guy like this. We say this all the time. This is what makes our group
you have
so
to have
much fun.
balance.
Is that we have absolutely we have these people that have different skills and different interests and different things that they're great at, and this is his mantle that he's taken up. So big shout out to him, big shout out to Coach Fatal. We always have to shout out Coach Fatal from FTB C2J getting things
Mhm.
together. And honestly, we're coming up, we just promoted, after the
Okay.
disastrous champs one run that we had a few months ago where I completely whiffed on my prediction. We just promoted without me making any predictions.
Hell
So
yeah.
I will predict for the rest of 2024, I will make no more predictions for CWL.
Oh my god.
Because
Are you
that's what works. That's what works, apparently.
so
Shout
can
out to
you predict
C2J
other
for
things?
promoting.
Can you pre-
I will make tons of predictions outside of CWL for the rest of the year.
Do
Absolutely.
you gamble on sports?
No, I do play
Okay.
fantasy football, and I'm 6-0. I'm the only 6-0 team in the
Okay.
league. So
I'm
if you
just
need
kinda
any
wondering
fantasy
about your
football
luck. So
tips,
now when I'm listening about predictions and stuff, then it's like, where
no,
does that
I'm
fall?
terrible. No, I'm terrible at this. Don't take any of my advice unless you're a Zoomer. Don't take any of my advice. You're a
Don't take
seasoned, well-aged veteran of
yeah.
life. You
Mhm.
don't have to learn anything from me. I promise.
Well, Woo,
And
since you gave like a real shout out, I'll have to give a real shout out too, because I copy you. I don't know if you know this, Scotty. The podcast bit is I just
Yeah.
copy Woo.
that's
Um,
the perfect way to be. Just go, "Oh,
Mhm.
he did it. Now let me just do it a
yeah,
little bit better."
like
Mhm.
But I wanna give
this.
a bigger shout out to
Yes, I like it.
I
I
want to
take it.
double
I love it.
down.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the just the one shout out I wanted to give is just like to the whole like everyone that's helped contribute to the C2J storylines because we all do it just for the memes. We do it so that you laugh on your like we give no Fs. Like honestly, like just the fact that like we basically stumble and ass backwards to some of these stories is just we that's why we share it. Like anyone is welcome. It doesn't matter how good you are. We literally don't care. It's all for the lulz. Just like everyone that's helped contribute to the storyline year after year because there is some kind of pretty funny stuff that you would never would envision. I mean, the podcast started with you know, myself and some like 20-year-old kid living on the farm trying to get into university that's getting kicked out of the clan for missing war attacks because Buck Buckshot, shout out to Buckshot, invited me back into the clan after gone for so long when I fired up Discord. And then come to find out, like years later, somehow we have like pros in the clan and playing comp and we're goofing around. It's just we literally just do it just for the content, just for people to laugh. Um, and also, shout out, I really do want to delete the Discord server. That part is not a meme. So like more sus stuff in this, so I can just delete it and forget about it. But like, just thanks to everyone who helped over the years make funny stories that we could tell on the podcast. That's just like my shout out.
It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy how it becomes like a group effort, even like it just like the most unexpected way. It's like the story, like, and then people congregate, or kind of join because they're like-minded, and it just like builds
Mhm.
on itself and makes it really worth doing and stuff. And
Yeah, it's
I
so
think,
true, Scotty. I mean, we've got so many people in our little family of clans that have been leaders and have run their own clans, and then they come over and they want to be in the back seat, but they don't mind taking on little things here and there. They just don't have to take
yeah,
on the whole thing, and it makes it so much easier on everybody else just to have fun. And I mean, these guys, when you're talking about, hey, we need to get a little event thing together, it's like, oh, I know who's going to jump right on top of that and create a
that'd be
channel in the
cool.
Discord and get it going. Like, those are just things that are going to
Mhm.
happen because of the great group of people that we get to play
Oh,
with. It
shit,
really is a
sorry.
privilege.
Real quick, I cut you off. Wu, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're
One
good.
quick shout out. I hope you don't mind, Scotty. Can I do like a mini self promotion?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Uh, so Wu mentioned it. Heroes passing away, like no joke, like actually affected a lot of people in the clan, and we're still like pretty sad about it. We're doing so every year we do a memorial war right after the turn. So like basically sometime right after when it turns to 2025, we're going to do a memorial war. So everyone is welcome. Um, he really was like a staple in the community. He was a great dad. I still remember him randomly FaceTiming me with his daughters. We talked to his wife like every once in a while. She still plays Clash. She still posts in the Discord. Like he really was a special guy. This is like this isn't a bit. Like I don't think we're bits for everything. Like he really was an amazing guy, and that's why like when he passed away, people that have never actually met him just playing a mobile game, we donated just because of him over like 5 figures of money just because he was really amazing and did that. So people would love to join the memorial war. That would be like really great. We're going to do it in the first of the year. And shout out to some of the content creators building some of those event bases, because anytime you see a white walled heart in those event bases for the challenges, that's like a shout out to Hero, because that was his signature thing, was the white heart. So it's just really amazing that like in game as like a homage to him. So I just wanted to put a plug for the Hero Memorial War, and just a thank you to the people that are still trying to they've donated over the years, helping the family and give that little homage in the Clash of Clans challenges. So that's just the last thing I wanted to say.
That's awesome. We can definitely promote it too on the podcast and get a bunch of people from L and stuff to come too. So I'd love to be a
Yeah, and one thing everybody needs to know is Hero was the Blizzard King, right? So he was the first guy in our clan to really take up the mantle of doing the Blizzard opener all the time, and we used to talk about it all the time about just him sending it in the most crazy angles and things that we did not think would work, and he would just send it. So when we do the Hero Memorial War, everybody's got to get at least one attack in with a Blizzard opener.
ooh,
So there is a little wrinkle. There's a little wrinkle there to it. So if you haven't blizzed in a while,
I have
or if
never
you've
done
never
it.
done it, yeah,
Plus
if you've
I'm a
never done it, you want
practice
to learn,
gives me
this
a
is a
reason.
great excuse to fail in front of all of your peers and friends.
And that'll be like right around the New Year's.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
we
That's
usually do
awesome.
it like the first week after New Year's, and I don't
Fucking
stream
cold
very much
outside and
anymore,
nothing to do.
but I'll stream it, and I expect you to be on stream, Scotty, hitting on stream. Just just throw
Oh
that out there, just
God.
put the pressure on you. There you
Let's
go.
Oh
go.
God.
Face cam
I'm
on stream. Let's
improving.
go.
I am improving, but oh my
Yeah, no
God.
face cams. We're gonna DQ you.
But I usually but I usually hit late at night when nobody's around because I slide in, but I'll
Hey, that's all good.
do my best.
And you know what? We'll have somebody up to stream. We've got multiple streamer friends. We'll
Yeah, that'd
have
be
somebody
fun.
awake to stream your hit.
That'd be fun. We'll figure something out and do something really cool. That'd be
Right.
That was
Awesome.
great.
Thank you.
get people over and we're definitely gonna have a um just real quick. What are you watching, reading, listening to?
Go
Go
for
ahead,
it,
Woo.
Carl. Oh, me? Oh, well, I'm a notorious not TV watcher. So right
Oh, okay.
now it's NFL season. Pretty much the only thing I'm watching on TV is NFL stuff. As far as I consume a ton of YouTube. So, some of my favorite channels, Clash related. I do like watching Blueprint, although they always get me a few times a year with some crazy attack that I try, and I never am good enough to
Oh,
do it. They always suck me
yeah,
in
horrible
with a
attack.
few of those, but they do make great content. They put it stuff out on a regular basis. So even though our bases were bamboozled in the Chaos Cup, I still do watch and consume plenty of Blueprint content, non-Clash related. Oh my gosh. Technology Connections is a great YouTube channel that I like to watch. He just does random explanation videos on all kinds of everyday technology stuff that you come
Ooh,
into contact with. Microwaves, toasters, air
ooh,
conditioning. It's nerdy, weird crap that my wife will see me watching and be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm gonna figure out the best microwave." Okay, that's what I'm doing today. Project Farm is another great one that I like to watch. A guy who tests out all kinds of different tools and
cool.
motor oil. I mean, anything you can think of. He tests it unbiasedly and gives a little ranking system on what he thinks is best and worst. I love watching that stuff too. I'm a car adjacent enthusiast. Karl does not consider my vehicle a real car enthusiast car. That's okay. I forgive him for it. So car enthusiast wise, stuff I really the channel, my favorite channel is Cletus McFarland. Is my favorite channel on YouTube when it comes to car content. He's a guy who used to work for 1320 Video, channel notorious for documenting drag racing and street racing around the world. And he's branched off. He has his own channel. He has his own racetrack. He holds his own events, drifting events, demolition derbies, all kinds of racing, drag racing. They build cars. It's a great channel. The characters on that channel are entertaining outside of all the technical stuff they do and the competitive stuff they do. So those would be my big three recommendations, the three things that I've been watching a lot of recently. Reading, I'm from Kentucky. I don't know how to read. So, Karl, it's up to you.
Uh, Clash content, you got to watch Pilot 51. He
Mm,
does a lot of memes. He makes fun of Ghost Knight and it's stuff like that. For
yeah.
Clash content, the man shortly after he had a heart attack and was in the hospital. He did video on Discord in his hospital bed after his heart attack, doing CW attacks and chatting with us. That's how hard this guy is. Fucking legend.
That's
Um,
Yeah.
amazing.
for YouTube, Healthy Gamer on YouTube. A lot of you can, if anyone's ever listened to the podcast, clearly I have mental health issues, depression issues. I have
Right.
everything, right? So like he is like one of the few that I've listened to that like is like relatable and you can like really understand where he's from. He used to be in that kind of mindset when he was younger. It helps me. If it helps you, more power to you. I know that Hero was a big mental health guy and depression guy, so just throwing that out there. I think it's worth
Yeah.
a couple minutes of your time to help you out in life. Um, Obviously, you can always DM me about stuff like that. And then in TV and movies, uh, I'm a DC guy. Batman is like this is gonna sound like a joke, and hopefully Tip Dog listens to the episode. Star Trek and Batman is like more than just entertainment to me. It's like a religion. So I'm waiting for them to pick who the new Batman's gonna be for the James Gunn universe. So I'm in waiting mode for like shows and stuff like that. I love Patman, by the way. I can't wait for the trilogy to go. I love Pattinson Batman.
You
So that's
do?
my 2 cents. My Yes, I love Pattinson. Like Affleck is my favorite Batman. I like old angry Dark Knight Returns Batman. Affleck is my favorite Batman still, but I think
Yeah.
see we've been so spoiled with so many good like other than the weird 90s after the, Keaton, all those ones after
Yeah,
that, they
Yeah.
don't count. We're just gonna pretend those don't happen. But like
agreed.
Keaton, Affleck, and Pattinson, and oh god, I'm so bad with
Bale?
names.
Bale?
Yeah, and
Bale.
Christian Bale, like
Yeah,
so good, like
yeah.
Yeah. I
unbelievably
agree.
good, Christian Bale. Anyways, we've been spoiled. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm watching.
Are you watching The Penguin?
Yes, it's really good so far. I've been
It's
enjoying
really
it.
good. I'm like a huge Batman. Like like that is I can't even tell you how much I watch Batman. The movies or rewatch them. It's just sick. Did you like The Flash when they brought Divided Worlds?
I thought the Keaton cameo was good. I feel like they spoiled what could have been a good movie. I was very excited. They had all the recipe pieces to make a good movie, and then they just literally phoned it in the whole time. So I'm kind of disappointed about The Flash. I still watched it in the movie theater, just to support the universe, but it's
Didn't
like
buy
they
it.
didn't try. They didn't try. It was so bad, but what you gonna do?
This is a whole nother podcast. We just keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Definitely could.
Shout outs from me, House of L. Thank you guys for coming on. I was really excited, really pumped up. And Tip Dog couldn't be here. Get a hold of us, clashclanspodcast@gmail.com or clashclanspodcast.com. Contact information for you guys. Where do you want to
Discord.
point people?
Yeah,
OnlyFans.
send all comments, concerns, complaints, constructive criticism to findthespace@gmail.com. Care of Fatal, and we'll get the message eventually. So there you go.
And where do they find your podcast?
Anywhere you can search for podcasts, we will be there.
The dumpster behind 7-Eleven.
and
Crystal, the number 2, and join.
and it's awesome. I'll post a link of this in the description. So until later, until next time, keep it until next time, keep it clashy, everybody.
Skilly beep 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 skilly beep.